Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to share with you what I consider to be my secret weapon in a launch, right? It's like my biggest launch secret in my business. I'm pretty sure I've used this secret, if you want to call it that, in every launch that I've done in the last 2 to 3 years, and pretty much almost every single launch of those has generated 5 to multiple 5 figures. So I feel like this is key, at least for me. I will say this is not for everyone. So take it if it resonates with you, leave it if it doesn't. All right? As with everything, I or anyone else says, take what works for you, leave what doesn't. So for me, what I have found is that I start out almost every launch in my business feeling very excited, very aligned, very, very optimistic, very joyful. And then as the launch progresses, my ego will often start piping up and saying, not really seeing the numbers you want to see yet. Or what if this is it? What if no one else purchases? Or what if nobody signs up? Or what if people sign up and they hate it? What if, right? And what I have found is that for me, all of my most successful launches have been the ones over the last several years where I have reached what I call, and excuse my language, but it is what I call my fuck it point. So for me, and I've told several of my clients about this, I think I've probably talked about this with my audience on other platforms before, but for me, I have to reach a level of detachment and surrender around my launches, or else that launch never really reaches its full potential, in my opinion. And again, this is just for me. For you, this may not help you at all. This may feel terrible. This may not be the key for you. But for me, this is the key. I have to be surrendered and detached in my launches. What I mean by this is it's not that I'm unmotivated. It is not that I just give up on the launch. That is the opposite of what I'm saying here. For me, when I reach my fuck it point, it's where I say, fuck it. I don't care how this launch goes. I am not attached to whether X amount of people sign up or X amount of money comes in through it. I am not putting any of my attention into, are the results happening? Are the results coming in? Am I seeing the numbers I want? I'm not looking at any of that anymore. I'm sick of looking at it. I'm tired of looking at it. I'm tired of trying to control it because I don't have control over it. I can't make people buy from me. I can't make people purchase. All I can do is do my best to show them why they may want to, but I can't make anyone, nor do I want to force anyone to purchase from me. So I'm going to stop looking at the things I can't control, and I'm not going to worry about them, and I'm not going to have any attachment to them, meaning all the numbers and the money and all of that sort of stuff. And instead, I'm just going to focus on what I want to do with this launch. I'm going to focus on having fun. I'm going to focus on sharing what feels good to me. I'm going to focus on just being the next level version of me and embodying that version of me who already has a successful launch and isn't even worried about this launch. And I found that when I let myself get to that point, that's often when the signups and the enrollments start coming through more and more. Usually we'll have a handful before I get to this point. Now, in the past, I would get to this point of mine, to this surrender, to this fuck it point, partway through a launch when I had been showing up and trying and doing all the things from this energy of, I gotta show people why they want, I gotta make them buy, I gotta say the right thing or post enough so that people will start to purchase, and maybe if I just send out one more email, maybe if I just put up one more Facebook live stream, or maybe if I just do one more video or one more post, someone will buy, or blah, blah. That was how I used to run the first parts of my launches. And then I would get so tired of that because I was doing all the things, I felt like I was efforting so much and doing all the things I was supposed to do and not seeing the results that I wanted as quickly as I wanted. And so I would get frustrated. I would get bitter as a projector in human design. My not self thing, I would start to get bitter and annoyed, either with myself or my audience or with the launch itself. And so then I would reach organically a fuck it point. I would reach that point of surrender. Now, that worked for like a year or two, right? Like I did that, and it was almost every launch I had to reach some level of frustration and bitterness to the point where I just could not. It was too frustrating and stressful and heavy for me to continue on with my launch the way it had started, right? Of the trying to force and the efforting and the trying to be perfect or say the right thing to get people to buy. It was just exhausting because I was so focused on the outcome, and every time I'd look at the desired outcome and where I was, I felt so far away from it, and it was exhausting. So when I would let myself get to my effort point, instead of just trying to continue forcing and obsessing the whole launch, but just let myself get to that point where I was like, look, I can't care anymore because it's exhausting to me. And it's not yielding the results I want. Caring this much isn't yielding the results I want. So I'm just gonna let it go. I don't care anymore. I don't care about the results. I wanna make this clear. I still cared very much about the launch, about the people who had enrolled so far, about the offer, but I didn't care about the results anymore. I didn't care if one more person signed up or not. I didn't care if X amount of money came in or if I hit my income goal for the month or not with this particular launch. I just focused instead on what I could control. And what I could control was, what do I want to show up and say today about this offer? How do I want to promote it? What way would be fun for me to do it? I gave myself permission to have fun and play. So like I was saying, that was how I did most of my launches. Was I would unintentionally and organically get to my point of surrender partway, like usually about halfway through a launch. And like I said, that worked because then the second half of the launch we had a lot more sales coming through because it changed the way I showed up. It changed the way I sold and what I talked about in my content, because I was no longer trying to guess at what people needed to hear in order to purchase. I just started sharing from my soul what felt intuitively good to share, what I knew the value of this program was, why I was so excited to run it. And that is much more magnetic marketing, if you ask me. So it shifted the energy and the content of my launch when I did that every time. And we started getting more and more sales coming in. Now, what I've done over the last year or so, maybe year to 2 years, I've played so much more with intentionally stepping into that surrender and running my launch like that from the start. Now, this hasn't always been easy, and it's still something I'm perfecting because I've only been doing this for a year or so. But I have found that my launches in my business overall are much more lucrative, much more impactful, much more successful, much more fun and effortless for me when I can hold that state of detachment around the outcomes and focus more just on having fun and sharing the value of what I'm offering in my launches throughout the entire launch. And it's so freeing and it's so liberating and it makes business so much more fun. Now, in order to do this, you have to have some underlying beliefs already kind of installed or adopted. You have to really understand that no matter how this launch goes, you will be okay. Right? So this means not putting all of this pressure on this one launch going this one way or else you're financially ruined or all this stuff. You have to have a level of self-trust in yourself that no matter how this launch goes in your business, you will be okay. You will be fine. Even if your ego is a little bit bruised, even if you feel like it was a public failure and people were looking at you and judging you, you have to be so confident in yourself and have such a deep level of self-trust that no matter what, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You also have to believe that everything is working out for you, right? So that even if this launch doesn't go how you want, it's because something even better is coming, or it's going to lead you to something even better. So really understanding that if you're having trouble surrendering and holding that surrendered state, that's normal during a launch. Because of course you're launching something you care about. You want to share it with people. And of course you want to impact people, but also receive compensation for it. That's normal. You're running a business. But there comes a point where that holding on to that illusion of control over your launch by worrying and stressing and trying to sell from that place of scarcity of how do I get people to buy, that starts to get in your own way and work against you after a certain point. Absolutely be strategic, absolutely consistently show up for launches, but overdoing it is detrimental to the launch just as much as not doing it at all. There has to be that balance. And so having this detachment from the outcomes is honestly, for me, has been the best place to launch from. And it's been so fun to get to hold this level of surrender from the beginning of a launch rather than having to force my way into it by getting frustrated or bitter and then deciding to surrender. So if you're in the middle of a launch right now and it's not going how you want, I would encourage you to try to surrender. I also have another video with other things you can look at. I will link that here for you. But I also recommend just trying to surrender. Try to surrender. Keep this in mind for your next launch as well. If you're just about to start out in a new launch, how can you detach from the outcomes? What do you need to believe about yourself or your life or anything else in order to have that detachment from the outcome? You can have a loose outcome, you can have a desire, you can have a goal, but you can't have the attachment to it and show up and sell from a very free and liberated and fun and aligned place. It's just kind of hard to do. So that's my 2 cents for you. This is really like the biggest secret weapon I have in my launches. There's so much I have around strategy and mindset and structure of launches that I'm excited to share. I'm going to share all of this inside of my new series that's coming up called Launch With Me. You can register for free or do a VIP upgrade, which allows you to get private or personalized. You can sign up for that for free. The link is in the description below, or you can also purchase the VIP upgrade, which gives you access to an exclusive Telegram channel where I will be giving personalized guidance and coaching in there to you. So definitely check both options out. Again, the link is in the description below. But this is really, I think, the biggest secret for me is detachment. And from detachment, then you can more embody the version of you who already has had a successful launch, and that also upgrades and shifts your launch as well and the way you show up for it. So there's so much that I can talk about. There's so much that I'm going to talk about all these things inside of Launch With Me, both the free and especially in the VIP upgrade. So make sure you get in there if that calls to you. But oh my gosh, this is something I don't think a lot of people talk about. Like, people talk about detachment and surrender, but when it comes to launching, people are so like, embody your next level self, embody. I do all that too. I think that's incredibly valuable. But this piece is the piece that no one told me, because I think a lot of people are afraid to say, stop caring. And it's not that I don't want you to care at all about the launch. I don't want you to quit on it. I want you to not drive yourself crazy and self-sabotage and get in your own way by overthinking and overstressing and being overly attached to the outcome, right? It all comes down to, don't put your value or any stories around what's possible for you in your business on this one launch. That's unfair to yourself. It's unfair to the launch. It's unfair to your audience to put so much pressure on this one thing in your business, especially if you're a service provider or a content creator. There's always another launch you could do, always another way money could come to you. Don't put so much pressure on this launch. Detach from the results. I hope this helps. I hope this helps. There's so much I could say. If you want more, if you want to work with me on this, come join Launch With Me. I'm so excited for this. Get all the details, sign up for free, or join that VIP upgrade. It's going to be amazing. Link in the description below this video. I'll talk with you all later.